Hello everyone. Today we have our amazing panel of speakers to discuss AI Infra Onchain. To begin with, I would like to introduce a panel of speakers who will be sharing some insights on AI Infra. So we have today Z from Walrus. We have Clemens from DIN. We have George from Zero G, and we have Gregory from Pi Squared. And to begin with, let's do a quick round of introductions. Z, you can kick it off.
My name is Z. I've been in the crypto space, I guess, since Ethereum launched. Did my own startup, worked at some enterprise blockchain spaces, built NFTs for MBAs. But now I'm kind of working as a developer relations for Misten Labs, and I'm here representing Walrus.
Hi, I'm Clemens Wan. I'm the head of marketing and AI for DIN. DIN is the decentralized infrastructure network that decentralizes Infra and MetaMask. So we're able to connect all the bare metal nodes so that you have the higher resiliency and more access to networks.
Hi, everyone. I'm George. I lead strategic partnerships at Zero G. I also help with our investments as from the foundation side and our accelerator program. And Zero G is building the world's largest AI L1 chain, EVM compatible. We have decentralized storage, decentralized compute, and data availability bundled within a decentralized AI operating system, which sits on top of our L1 chain. Our goal is to bridge the gap between Web 2 and Web 3 AI. We're live on mainnet and very excited to share a lot of cool innovations that the Zero G team has come up with in the recent months.
Hello, I'm Grigore Roșu. I'm the founder and CEO of Pi Squared. And at Pi Squared, we build the fastest decentralized network for instant payments for humans and AI. And probably what is unique about our network is that it is not a blockchain.
And I'm Elena Obukova, founder of Supermoon and Supermoon Ventures. And as you already understood, I'm going to be moderating this panel. So each of you represent a different vertical of Onchain AI. So I would like to go a bit deeper into this topic and understand each of your projects. I'm curious to know what is a specific gap each of your projects solve and what value does it bring to builders creating projects on chain?
Yeah, so Walrus specializes in storing data artifacts, large data artifacts that can be referenced and reused by AI agents and other for training related purposes as well. So combined with the secret management system that we have, it enables builders to build data marketplaces, but also content creators to manage and monetize their data from day one.
Yeah, so just to give some context, when I think about AI agents, I think about like a secretary for retail. In my sense, it would be somebody that is going to have the capabilities to search through different types of APIs to use, and it's able to use the natural language processing to decide from intent to actually execution. And so that inference model for a company may be, access to APIs in the backend. And what DIN does, it's very good at this connectivity and reputation score for different bare metal node providers. And what we're really good at with this is operational efficiency. So how am I able to measure how good a particular node endpoint is, and how do I know when to switch to that endpoint? And so in terms of AI, that's how we're working best, is with these different known providers and creating reputations for them. And then for Web3, it's just connectivity so that you have resiliency and failover for your applications.
Yeah, so at Zero G, we kind of had to re-architect the entire tech stack from the ground up. And so initially, we started with data availability. It's basically a fast way to verify information on chain. If you look at an Ethereum transaction, 80% of the gas fees is actually due to data availability. And so we optimized that first, because if you want to do fully on-chain AI, DA needs to have throughput in gigabytes per second, not in the current megabytes per second. And so that was their first product from Zero Gravity. The second product was our decentralized storage network. Our storage network is hyper optimized for AI. We have a very unique mechanism where we partition data into two lanes. One lane is the data storage lane, and the other lane is the publishing lane. This allows us to horizontally scale our network across storage nodes, and it allows us to basically reduce the costs of data storage as well. When you talk about large language models, AI agent networks, even DeepIn or RWAs or anything that's heavy on data side, including gaming, the cost to store it on chain is very prohibitive for most builders. And so we were able to reduce our costs up to 80% cheaper than AWS, for example, and many, many times cheaper than the current decentralized solutions. And actually, we have over 400 projects building with Zero G, and the number one integration point is the storage network. And so when you say, how do you bridge the gap between Web 2 and Web 3 AI, data storage is a very important component of that. And then the third component is the compute. And so everybody knows about the hyperscalers, everybody knows about compute and the costs of compute. With Zero G, we were able to decentralize the network, again, through compute nodes. And what we're able to do is use a distributed marketplace of GPU providers, H100s, H200s, all of these things. But we're able to reduce the costs of compute. In addition to that, we're able to allow the community to be active participants in training. And so when you use compute for inferencing, fine tuning, data verification, and training, and a community member or even an enterprise is providing data for these training tasks, what we're able to with Zero G, because we have storage underneath, is we can track on chain who the contributors of this data is, what is the quality of this data, and then we can assign a monetary value to it and distribute that value back to the contributors. And so this is something the blockchain solves. People say blockchain solves this and that, and it's not really true. But I actually think solving the whole incentive mechanism, monetization mechanism, ownership, all of these things is what blockchain solves. And we're able, like I can see it in our day-to-day conversations with companies, we're able to bring them on chain because we tell them, you're going to own your data. The sovereign data is yours. And you have a way to track and monetize contributors of AI models and other data packets that you're looking to actually grow. And so we solve the cold start problem for a lot of the small founders, and then we solve the whole monetization aspect for the larger companies.
All right. So at Pi Squared, let me tell you what we don't do. We don't do AI or AI models. But what we do, we develop the rails, the payment rails that AI and humans can do transactions and payments. We specifically focus on maximum optimal performance, which cannot come without maximum parallelism. We have a decentralized protocol that allows payments to be done at the speed of the internet. So you do not need to sequence at all payments. They can be done completely independently of each other and in parallel. So we call this embarrassing parallelism, and that's how payments should be, and they can be, and they already are. And with the Genius Act and all the AI agentic movements, will very soon have a future in which we need millions of transactions per second, payments per second. 100,000 is too little. That's not a goal to have. That's soon past. We need millions of TPS, and we cannot have millions of TPS with conventional blockchains as they are today. Blockchains were never meant for real-time payments. The time has come to go for a paradigm shift. We believe that we need a serious paradigm shift. Blockchain technology needs a massive overhaul in order to sustain the millions of TPS that are needed. And there is research in the last 5 years showing that this is possible, that it is possible to have payments that scale horizontally, that do not have a max TPS. And unfortunately, blockchains as they are today cannot sustain that. And our mission is to push the envelope and to build the payment system rails for humans and AI for the future.
I think, Grigori, you touched on a really important topic about our scalability and performance. And George, you mentioned on how you guys are actually able to achieve it. So we realizing that AI infra definitely needs to be very scalable. It needs to be reliable. And I would be really curious to know from Z and Clemens, what are you guys are doing in order to guarantee better cost, improve on latency, and also increase in performance?
I guess I can go first. So at Walrus, I think we basically took the approach of giving just people more options to choose between the spectrum of decentralizations to performance, right? So if you want performance and cost, uh, you can basically use what we call publishers and aggregators, which are the equivalent of like indexing providers that people use today for their blockchain data. So they would be able to provide you with Web 2 like performance for reads and writes. So obviously, these things are all open source binary. So if you don't trust the providers, you can also always run them yourself, right? And kind of minimize your cost there. And I think fundamentally, like competing on costs on decentralized system, it's kind of a moot point in the sense that anytime like there's data going through the internet is never going to be as performant as data going on like a circuit board, like in the data center, right? So they have the economy of scale. If we try to compete just purely on cost, I don't think that's something that we have advantage over, right?
Yeah, I like to give the analogy of Amazon, the kind of last mile. So when you buy something on Amazon, you don't really care who the carriers are. You pretty much say, I want it faster or cheaper or more eco-friendly. And those preferences, and I agree that you can choose routing based on location, based on the reputation you have with them already, based on the available chains, and we're optimizing based on kind of the smaller micro levels rather than trying to solve one large solution for everything. And I think that makes the most sense because every AI agent will be coming from a different intention, and it's better to solve for the intention and abstract it rather than solve for every single problem with latency.
It's really, really interesting. And I also want to expand a little bit more on a topic that started becoming more and more popular in the agentic economy as people discuss how agents essentially will be doing all the work for us. And a lot of AI infrastructure is now also looking into that direction, how we can provide a better platform for AI agents to be fully autonomous. And I would like to ask you how you see the development towards this full autonomous agents. Is it infra ready for that? Or what are the current bottlenecks for me, for example, to go online and just start telling agents, hey, plan all my travel. Here's a wallet. Go purchase me tickets, manage my money, generate me some yield, and just sit and relax.
Yeah, that sounds kind of scary, right? I personally, I think that when you're creating this agent, right, what you're trying to build is kind of beyond your comfort, and I think it'll like psychologically take time for you to, at first when you're trying to put your credit card into Web 1, how do I trust this? And so I think that like trust level has to expand properly. But when you say autonomous, it also has to have preferences. So you have to say, well, here's your spending limits, here's connection to a subset of wallets, or maybe you can only write drafts, but you can't send the final version, right? All of these workflows that have to happen to kind of serve to you so that you can be the human in the loop to make the decision. And from the infrastructure side, I think it has to have some measurable amount of reputation associated to all of these actions. So restrictions on the wallet so that you're not just letting it go, spend as much money as possible. But then on top of that, other types of, you know, what's the 5-star rating of an AI agent that's going to have access to my passwords and are getting authentications?
Yeah, absolutely. So, 100% agree. There's a trust gap and also a knowledge gap when you're talking about people utilizing AI agents for everyday tasks. And so the reputation, you can do it where there's like ZK proofs for reputations for credentialing of AI agents. Like we've seen projects look at that. On zero G, infrastructure wise, we're pretty confident we're close to having the infrastructure ready for fully autonomous AI agents. It's just that there still needs to be better safeguards in place. And when I say safeguards, most people think of, okay, bad AI agents, right? That come in and hack and exploit and perhaps do malicious data injection and things like that. But I mean, even today, Cloudflare was down. So on an infrastructure level, right, if you're using AWS, GCP, any centralized solution to host these AI agents or the data that agents are tapping into, and if that goes down, there could be downstream effects for you if you depend on the AI agent to manage your money, to check on your health, to do private transactions that are pending, which would close otherwise without this execution. And so with zero G, we have multiple redundancies in place from the infra side itself. Our storage network is completely distributed and decentralized across various providers. And so if Cloudflare goes down, if AWS goes down, zero G storage nodes are still live and active because there's redundancies in place. And now, if you want to scale, just like how you would add an AWS server, you can just add a zero G storage node and you linearly scale your entire network and the throughput. And so we're getting, for example, 2 gigabytes per second in storage throughput. That is the fastest cold storage network in the entire space. And because of the redundancies in place, you don't have to worry about a centralized server going down. And then when you talk about inferencing and fine tuning, which is another component that AI agents actually depend on, we have a way to distribute that across a various network as well. We even have something called AI alignment nodes, which allows the basically checks and balances to be incorporated on a protocol level. What it means is if an agent is misbehaving or if a model is drifting during the training process, these AI alignment nodes are able to detect that model drift, flag it, and then a human can come in and do an intervention. You can retrain the model. You can adjust the weights and biases. You can check for accuracy. These are all things that are not really well explored in the Web3 space. And so Zero G is pioneering a lot of that. And you'll get to see these things in action in the coming months and years and things like that. But if you truly want to have autonomous AI agents, you need reliability on the infrastructure level, and then you need security in place for the agentic level. And we're doing all of that.
Yeah, certainly. I agree with everything George and Clemens and Zain said. So we'll definitely very soon see lots of agents per person acting on our behalf autonomously, and agents hiring each other for microservices with micropayments. And all these have to happen in real time. Agents are not patient like we are. They cannot wait half a second for something to happen. They want instant payments, instant finality for everything. Let's not forget what the elephant in the room is when we talk about AI and Web3 integrations. So Web3 is still governed by blockchains, and these are slow, and do not scale. And there are lots of efforts to make them scale. But still, the very fact that blockchains enforce a total order on all the transactions, right? This global ledger. So that's an inherent limitation that we need to eliminate, because agents do not stay in line. My agent buying a ticket to a vacation ticket and your agent doing a trade somewhere else, they do completely independent things. Why should they queue and wait for each other for payments, micropayments, or storage? So yeah, OG's storage, I understand, is also parallel and super fast, which is great. So we see the same in we see the same in EigenLayer. There are still some storage DA layers which are not massively parallel. So parallelism is the key, and we have to parallelize everything, not only storage but also settlement. Once you know that something is true, you should be able to settle it immediately. There is this misconception that ZK will solve everything. If we have ZK, then you don't have to redo the computation. You can just simply settle. But even if the ZK proof, and you know that the thing is true, you don't even need ZK proof. Suppose that God said, this is true, just settle it. Right? We cannot settle more than 100,000 or 200,000 currently. Known facts, verifiable facts, just save them. We cannot. If you queue them, which is what blockchains do. So we believe that the agents are here to stay, and they will put a tremendous pressure on the blockchain technology, which will need to evolve fast. Otherwise, we have a problem.
Wow, it's actually really interesting points that I never considered. How agents are impatient and about how they also interact with other websites. So, if we're already working on a good enough infrastructure for this to happen, what would be happening with other websites? So, for example, for me to book a travel ticket, I would need to go to Airbnb. And as Grigori mentioned, it takes, like for human, it takes time. So, it doesn't affect maybe an Airbnb platform as much. But if everyone communicates with agents and agents are doing way more API calls to Airbnb platform, it might affect their servers. Do you think that all current platforms and products and the consumer apps will have to change significantly, and like how it will look like for them to integrate with AI agent platforms?
Yeah, you're saying that AI agents inherently as bots have more bursty or maybe longer threads, or it's going off and doing its own thing. And so what changes from each website perspective that can support, let's say if I'm on Ticketmaster waiting to buy that ticket, then should I just have my AI agent, be the first one there or wait on the queue or something of that sort? I think there will be uh, some type of separate interface that allows for better queuing and better interactions. And I think it might overload a lot of services. So it's good that we're talking about it. Most of the conversations that I have been talking about the creation of the agent, the knowledge base of that agent, and then the connections to systems. But it doesn't talk about how does that not lead to, higher amount of pollution because we're using a lot of water to cool down the data centers, and now these AI agents are basically wasting energy. I think it's a good point. I don't know if we have a solution to that level where it's about like what's the eco impact of having all of these, parallel jobs run.
Yeah, and I think I wanted to add to that is that I think today, like most websites are basically hostile to agents, right? In the sense that like anytime you want to create a account, you have a captcha. Anytime you want to do anything related to money, you have to provide all of your information plus like some kind of verification, verify that you're human. And all those things are kind of basic obstacles for agents to hop through. Like either Web3 is going to completely redo all of the resources, all of the services that we have, Uber, like Airbnb, all of those things, or they will need to adapt to agents, right? And these agents will also need to be able to access money in that sense, and so that's kind of where we as a Web3 community we can come in and kind of organize that and allow agents to be able to kind of trek through these different obstacles easier. So
Yeah, I want to add to that. So, I think the universal front end for agents will be LLMs, right? It'll be like a chat GPT interface, and the agents just work in the background. And so websites like Expedia and anything, Ticketmaster, anything, they're just going to connect their search engines, the recommendation engines, the booking engines, and the back end to various LLMs, perhaps their own LLMs. And when a user comes in and says, book me a flight from here to here. This is my budget. These are the dates. They're just going to search it, or it'll even sync with the calendar. And so it already knows when to book it and what are the different parameters and things like that. And everything will just occur in a multi step, very well orchestrated way in the back end. And so with Zero G, we actually have a product coming out soon, which is like our own LLM interface for the entire blockchain. And what it does is you can use this interface to just type like you normally would with natural language and interact with dApps on Zero G. So, for example, we have a decentralized exchanges where you can swap stable coins for the zero G token and vice versa. And so you can just type in there, I want to swap $100 for zero G, and it'll make that swap for you. Now, do you care where that execution is occurring? Do you care how it's happening? Maybe some do, maybe some don't. But what's happening is it's going to find the best quote, the best execution price, the fastest speed across several exchanges on zero G, and it'll execute that trade for you. We think that's the future, where you as a user don't need to make that decision. The agents and the AI models and the recommendation engines will make that decision for you. You will just get to experience the benefit of a seamless operation. And so this is going to happen on trading. It's going to happen with managing your wealth. It's going to happen with your health. So in health, we have a project that's actually incorporating all your health data from wearables, aggregating it, putting it into an AI model, which is hosted on Zero G Compute Network. And basically, it's giving personalized recommendations for your health and for longevity that you wouldn't get with just ChatGPT, right? And so this is the power of agent economy, where there's going to be incentives in place. There's going to be mechanisms in place where more actionable insights to benefit your daily life will occur. And the process in which you actually conduct your daily life will be much easier. You do not have to worry about going to this website for this and the other website for that. Everything will be one seamless flow, and there'll be 100 agents in the back end actually executing that for you. And Zero G is looking to actually build that. We have several AI agents on our chain now that are doing things. We're speaking with the Web2 travel agency right now that is deploying a travel agent on our chain so that users on the Web3 side and Web2 side can just autonomously book travel for their conferences and things like that. And they can connect to the Web2 API, but they're using Web3 because now you can track who the users of this agent are, and you can actually monetize that. And so now users, when they spend $1,000 on a trip, they can get $100 back because they're generating on-chain data, which could be used for future LLMs, future travel agencies. There could be other value, enterprise value for the data that you're generating using a booking, which you would have done anyway. This is the power of Web3, where we give monetization back to the users and we contribute to generating data sets that are helpful for AI to make your life better. And so it's a recursive loop. And that's what we're trying to enable across all verticals, not just travel, not just DeFi, also in gaming, health, everything.
Wow, we're essentially talking about a completely new internet that nothing like what we're using today. And to start summarizing the panel, I want to ask a last question about your hot takes on AI infra right now. Just give me the spiciest take. Z, let's start with you.
I think the enshittification of big tech's ads are going to be, I think, slowly entrenching to the major LLMs, and that's kind of where we as Web3 community will come in to be able to provide that like pure LLM experience as a whole through verifiable data, through verifiable compute.
I think there's phases of read, write, own, and I think the next phase is going to be train and training of algorithms that you feel represent who you are, and it's already happening in a lot of these social media accounts. But the training of a model to be my full digital twin, to read the articles that I read and able to give feedback on them, is probably a small language model on your phone that updates with privacy, that connects to your trusted execution environment inside of, all of the wallets that you already have in there, and then being able to just get notifications for approval rather than actually interacting with applications the old way. Just more summaries of information. A very good use case would be like parental controls. I want to be able to see what my daughter is looking at on some game on Roblox and be able to receive like outputs, but I may not want to read everything. I just want like summaries to give alerts. So I think the training model for something of myself will be more enjoyable than posting AI slop or creating my own content.
Yeah, I think the main Web3 focused AI agent with real utility has not come out yet. And so I think my hot take is we are still in the early days of this. A lot of people talk about it being a bubble and it's ending. I think we haven't seen anything yet. I think the real breakthrough consumer grade Web3 AI agent is yet to be created or yet to be marketed in a mass way. And so I would say stay optimistic. I think there's going to be a lot more cool things coming down the way, but I don't think we've seen anything yet.
My hot take is that we should not confuse Web3 and crypto with blockchains. These are different things. Blockchains are just a mechanism to implement Web3 and crypto. AI agents will integrate massively with Web3 and crypto. But blockchain, I don't think so. I think blockchains will evolve into something scalable.
That's really interesting takes and definitely a lot. I would continue honestly this discussion for another 30 minutes or longer. And thank you so much for your inputs and for everyone here today. As you just heard, there are so many more opportunities for builders to create cool use cases for on-chain AI. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.